So, hello everyone. Welcome to this very interesting Instagram live discussion that we're having. My name is Lalita. I work with Citizen Matters Mumbai. I'm the engagement associate here. And Citizen Matters is a media organization, and we report on critical urban issues, ideas, and solutions for change in cities. And our topic for today is conscious consumer, celebrating in a sustainable and responsive way, and we'll be discussing the relationship between climate change, celebration, and climate consciousness and consumerism. These are two experts today with us, Ananya Pathak and Pooja Domadia. To tell you a little bit about both of them, Ananya is a high school student, extremely passionate about the environment, and she's part of a school student climate action club, sorry. And Pooja Domadia is the founder of Flow and Conscious Living, and she's also part of a startup called Hum Prithvi Se. Both talk about zero waste products and zero waste events, and she's also a very avid environmentalist, and she's also a volunteer at Fridays for Future Mumbai. Both are volunteers at Fridays for Future Mumbai. FFF is an autonomous student and youth-led movement, passionate about the environment and taking different issues, especially related to cities in a different part of the country. FFF Mumbai is one of the local chapters, and yeah, we'll be starting the discussion. But before that, I just want to make a couple of ground rules clear. We'll be starting the discussion, and we'll also open up the discussion for questions. So I request you to either paste your questions in the questions section or in the comment section. And so follow us and do join the discussion and do share your feedback and your comments. Am I still audible? Hello?
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. So yeah, we'll now start the discussion, and I request everyone to not engage in any kind of trolling or abuse in the comment section. And we'll be beginning the session now. Yes. Okay. So great to have you both on the panel. I wanted to start the discussion by asking Ananya about how she thinks, I mean, which festivals and which events are you going to celebrate in the coming few days, and what preparations have you been taking? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
For me, celebrating Diwali is not so much about having a lot of having a lot of elaborate festivities, but more so about meeting family members, spending time with them. We haven't really had any ongoing traditions within my family, so we typically just spend the day with each other. As
Right. Pooja,
for
what about you?
yeah.
Yeah, so for me also, but then a few years back, I just started doing things slightly differently because, um, there's like a gap, right? So you start realizing that these rituals or these customs are problematic could be social reasons, could be environmental reasons. Then you start pondering over them, and then you are like, okay, abhi nahi kuch karna, and then you try and figure out solutions, and then you are like, okay, this is now how I can do maybe. So more than anything, I think all of us, let me speak for myself, I am someone who has a lot of sense of nostalgia. So if I've done something in my childhood, brought me a lot of happiness, today if I end up doing it, I would feel very happy, connected to my childhood in that sense. So maybe say doing Rangoli, I remember uh, doing Rangoli with my neighbor Didi, as a kid, and loved that time spent together. Although I was never good at art in a very aesthetic way. So now what I do is I use grains because I don't want to use the color that you get in the market. So I would use a rajma, or I would use sabudana and gehu and whatever, all the things, the colors that you have in your kitchen. And I would make a rangoli with that. And then very patiently, I would dismantle it very, like, separately, wash all of that whenever needed. So, khichdi banani hai, so dal or chawal dhulne hi hai. So you would wash it and use it. So technically, you are not creating any waste, but you just come up with your own solutions once you do it. So yeah, that's on the path that I am trying to figure out ways of my solutions in that.
Right. Thanks for that. I think both of you shared about how festivals to you guys mean togetherness, meeting family, those kind of things. But do you think, and Pooja has also shared certain individual traditions that she has followed and how, these are kind of changed for her. But do you think as a society with, the kind of celebrations that are happening, they've been changing over the years. The kind of celebrations that our parents' generation had, or our parents' generation had, and today. So, as a society, what changes have you guys noticed? Ananya, would you like to go first?
Yeah, as Pooja mentioned about food as being, and she mentioned that she makes a rangoli out of the different grains. I think even in my observation of festivities and my perception of them, food is kind of central to how I perceive celebration in general. So,
I think,
speaking of food, I think people have. Sorry, were you saying something?
yeah, yeah, it's better now. I think the video got stuck for a bit, but it's better
Oh,
now.
all right. Sorry. So I think speaking of food, over the years, people have moved away from traditional home cooked foods and towards kind of almost buying a lot of foods are readily available in the market. People buy these fancy, elaborate packaging for imported nuts and dry fruits, for packaged chocolates and things that are not really related to the festival at its core. Whereas in what in the stories that I hear from my grandparents is that during those times they would make everything from the farsan to the laddus at home. All the family members would gather around in the kitchen to make that, and I think that's something that I lost in my childhood, something that we didn't have growing up, but something that we definitely need to bring back because there's something very central about the experience of making food together, of spending the day just celebrating those little moments without creating any waste.
Lalita, I can't hear you. Is that the same with you?
Yeah, I was saying, yeah, Pooja, would you like to add anything to that?
Yeah, I think not just Diwali, I think any festival these days, I feel it's all being so central around consumerism. For every festival, there's a sale. For every festival, um, or I remember as a kid, we were told Diwali में, it's like साल में एक बार कपड़े खरीदे जाते थे वो दिवाली होती थी. Now it is like you end up buying so much, so many times with occasions, without occasions. Sale becomes an occasion. Or you're just walking on the road, you found something that becomes an occasion. So, uh, what I see is change in like it's not like, oh, you bought something 2 months back and so you will not buy it Diwali. You would still go ahead and buy in Diwali. So I feel every festival is becoming very centric. Sorry, consumerism is becoming a center to every kind of festival, and that is taking a lot of toll on all of us, right? I mean, you take whatever, like, and now it's not limited to just clothes. Now you have uh, say gadgets, right? कि अरे दिवाली का सेल आया फोन चेंज कर दो, दिवाली का सेल आया टीवी चेंज कर दो, with every product it is coming down. And I feel we are just becoming a lot where uh, नया नया खरीदना is prosperity and that's about it, or that celebration and that's about it. So our definitions and our understandings are changing. Like what Ananya said, that food being centric to celebrations, food being centric to uh, you know celebrating together. I remember making farsan together, like dadi, all of us, my sister, all of us would come together, do all, yeah, papa, everyone will come together and clean the house. And now, like, you just hire a service. I'm not against the services, but I feel we are missing out on the uh, that connectivity bit, uh, because we are outsourcing everything, right?
But yeah, so you guys mentioned the kind of change that has happened. What is the impact of such a change? You guys want to talk a little bit about the kind of waste that is generated, things like that? because as we see that waste generation has increased exponentially, especially after COVID, and we see that even a major pandemic like the COVID did not improve the situation much. In fact, waste has only increased. So, how do you think that these kind of this waste generation impact the already burdened waste management processes?
Yeah, I mean, of course, right? See, I by profession, I am into a business that sells products, and now although I try to have the products which are mindful, but I realize, say, for example, if I'm creating Diwali hampers, there's a certain kind of pressure to make it look aesthetically beautiful, which means to add unnecessary packaging, which is not needed. So far, I have thankfully not got paid by it, but the point being, there's so much pressure on everything to look good, which means that unnecessary things added, right? And what happens to that beautifully designed box? What happens to that box? Which is there's so much effort that the designer would have put in designing that. There are so much resources that have gone into printing it, the cardboard, the ink, whatever, right? What happens? You receive it, you click a few pictures, oh wow, and then it just gets stashed. So uh, I remember as kids, if there was something fancy as a dabba, we would hold it. कि हम इसको कभी ना कभी use करेंगे. But now it's so much that you can't even hold it, right? I mean, it will just become hoarding. So uh, it is taking a toll, and it's not just about cardboard. Imagine so many nets being in place. Imagine so many ribbons being in place. So many unnecessary bags being in place, whether they are paper, whether they are PP, whether they are cloth, any kind. If it is not needed, but you are still using it, it is a problem. But we're just not ready to think about it. Even about gifts, I feel at times, do we really need gifts? Or are we asking the receiver कि आपको क्या चाहिए? या are we thinking कि ये उसको काम आएगा क्या? Like with corporate gifting, I see fake plants दे देते हैं desk पे रखने के लिए. मतलब the, the product itself is plastic. It's such a waste. Uh, scented candles or whatever, a lot of things like that, which technically don't add value, they just add waste. So, yeah, it is a major issue.
Ananya, to just carry forward that
Yeah.
question, why do you think we should care? Why do you think we should care about the kind of celebrations that are happening? Why should we care about consumerism? Why is it that this issue matters to you?
I think whenever we are, as Pooja talked to most about gifting as a process, celebrations are more than just that gifting, right? And that's what we need to understand, and that's what we need to move away from, because gifting is inherent within the consumerist culture, right? It's not something that is traditionally related to the festival in the first place. By bringing families together, it does not need to be by that more almost financial transaction of a gift. It's or that transaction of a gift where the purely aesthetic or the aesthetic value of a gift is linked to the prosperity of the giver or the prosperity of the receiver. It's not something that it's almost superficial in a way, when that gift doesn't have any real meaning. And even in food, when we are celebrating, we tend to overcook, or we tend to buy food items from external sources that we don't really use or that are not really relevant. And that also results in a lot of food waste, results in a lot of packaging waste if we are purchasing something that comes in a packet. And also, when we are consuming at such a large scale, we also tend to consume products that are not very sustainable. For example, imported dry fruits or nuts, which is very prominent in our cuisine right now. The thing is that in the past, these products used to be traded on a lot more sustainable manner between via horseback, even back in the days of like, the ancient times, wherein there was no real carbon emissions being emitted. But right now that those same products are being transported via cargo or via planes, which generate a lot of carbon emissions. So prioritizing local products and prioritizing local ingredients is also something that we need to keep in mind when we are cooking for our families during festivals and even beyond festivals. And personally, I see that a lot of people ignore the fact that they are inherently consuming something that is leading to long run and even current carbon emissions.
Right, great. So yeah, I mean, just to carry forward from the kind of questions that we've talked about, from the effect that it has on the environment, uh, who do you think the onus then lies on? So would you like to share a little bit about that, both Pooja and Ananya? Who do you think the onus then lies on? How can we get companies, get people, get the government? How do you think that we can, start this conversation about consumerism and climate consciousness?
I mean, personally, as a student, it's always about the onus. We are always thinking of, as student environmentalists, who does the onus fall upon, like which generation is witnessing, and the intricacy is something that has been passed on from the previous generations. It's something that's actually in a way sustainable. In It's a lot of practices that are sustainable. Say some celebrations involve planting trees, some celebrations involve reusing or coming together to cook sustainable meals, to cook local meals. But increasingly, some festivities are celebrated in ways that are promoting consumerist colors or unsustainable practices, as we see now. But the onus falls on right now within the urban framework, within modern day society, to shift our own perspectives, and that it's not something that only that the onus doesn't fall solely on one individual to make a difference, but it falls on every one of us to kind of see how we can contribute via our role in society. Student, for example, if a we have a celebration at school for Diwali, I can talk to the school admin to see how we can maybe use lesser light, because a lot of lights would again use a lot of electricity, or how we can reuse what we use for decoration. Or if I am a child within a family unit, I can um, inquire about the practices that my grandparents used to follow. Maybe try and tell my parents to have a Diwali that is more resembles the olden day fashions more modern day consumer. So these little things, even if say I'm gifting something to someone, I can rethink what gift I'm giving. That it in itself is a big deal.
Pooja, would you like to add anything to that? And
Yeah,
also answer the question.
yeah, I feel a very major, reason or someone whom I can blame upon is the economic system that we are a part of. The economic system that keeps telling you that more is better, that more production, more sale, more depletion of resources. Like, I feel more production is equals to more depletion of resources, isn't it? We live on a world with finite resources, but we are talking as if there's no tomorrow, or as if infinite is everything. But looking at it from a lens that आज खाली हो गया कल क्या खाओगे, it's just as simple as that. But I don't know how are we looking at this, and we are glamorizing the whole idea of having more, selling more, buying more, owning way more than you need. And I feel this, whether it is a government system, whether it is a societal system, I feel this is a major culprit. Uh, from the lens that I see, uh, owning a car is not meant to be from a functional perspective. It's more from a prosperity perspective. So, or status of symbol perspective. So I feel those understandings are flawed. Our understanding of prosperity is flawed. Our understanding of growth and development is flawed. And I feel that is a major reason that is leading to all the issues that we are confronting, whether it is from an environmental perspective, whether it is from social perspective. So yeah.
Yeah, I also have another question connected to that. So, how do you think we can go about organizing a minimalist and a sustainable event? We spoke about festivals and individual practices now, but in your experience as a planner for zero waste events, do you have any tips for our audience? What do you think?
Yeah,
What do you think is the way forward?
yes. Some years back, I had been to this village. Okay, I visited this village in very rural part of Maharashtra, near Hemalkas. I had been to meet and visit Dr. Prakash Amte, and they took us to a village where they were working on. So we were just passing by, and uh, there were some leaf plates hanging outside someone's house, and they were making somewhere. uh, I got a little curious and I asked, "Oh, I mean, why are you making leaf plates?" I mean, so they said that we have a wedding in our village, and all of us are supposed to make some leaf plates as a part of as our contribution to the event. And I found that so beautiful that you're coming together as a community. वो अगर शादी है वो एक घर की शादी है. That shadi was like of the whole village. Every house of that village was contributing in some form or other. And I feel this beat is missing. I remember as a kid, we would have these celebrations like I would go to your place, आज आपके घर पे मठिया बनाया, कल आप मेरे घर पे आओगे. So all those things are missing. Now, what to do, how to celebrate if you want to organize an event? If you can do it as a community, like with your guests, wonderful. Like if you can involve them also, because तब उसका मजा actually बहुत अलग हो जाएगा. बना बनाया खाना आपके सामने, मिष्टान खाना, आई मीन ऑफ कोर्स इट हैज इट्स ओन फन, आई एम नॉट अगेंस्ट इट, बट बना बनाया खाना खाओ और चार लोग किचन में मिलके साथ में बना के खाओ, उसका मजा अलग आएगा, बिकॉज देयर यू हैव स्टोरीज टू से, एंड स्टोरीज आई फील चेंज एवरीथिंग. It just sweetens up everything, of course, depending on the type of story and experience. But in most cases, it would add a lot of joy, a lot of memory portion, right? So, how you can organize? Just think about every aspect of waste that you would create, right from your invitations, right? So, are you going to have printed invites? So, if printed invites may be not a great idea, right? I mean, ultimately, raddi mein hi jana hai. How about digital? Just send it out. Just call people instead of just sending out a message. Call people. Why call people? There's a different warmth to it, and I feel that warmth is missing. It's not just about creating an event just for the sake of it. Just call, speak. How are you? I would love to have you over. Those words make a lot of difference. When you are having people over, or maybe during while inviting, you can tell, say, just assuming it's a Diwali party, because you're a host, people will get some gifts for you. So if you don't want to accept gifts, tell it. But if you have some needs, tell that also. That okay, listen, instead of just mindlessly getting something, I have 5 kgs of badam lying at my place. Please don't get badam. You might as well get, I'm looking to buy a power bank, possibly, or I've been craving for some pani puri. So can you fix a date for me? Maybe we can go on this weekend to have pani puri together. So it can be very small little things, but if you list them out, it will be wonderful for your guest and for you also, right? Next, uh, dressing, please don't buy mindlessly. In most cases, especially with urban folks, we have more clothes than we need. मतलब way more than we need, I think. So we might as well do or repeat करने में कोई problem नहीं है यार. I don't understand what is the harm in repeating. But if you still don't want to repeat, just borrow. You might have your friends, family. If you still don't know, just rent. You don't need to buy for every occasion, and especially clothes that you would not even wear often. Like, we buy, we put so much money for occasions, पर वो कपड़े आप घर में नहीं पहन पाओगे. They will be very uncomfortable. So if you're putting in money, you might as well think. So on clothes bit. Then if you're looking at about the food, so maybe if you're getting it food cooked at your place, wonderful. If you're ordering it from outside, can you have your dabbas in place? Because if for more people, instead of getting all those 25 प्लेट पाव भाजी 25 डब्बों में मंगाने से अच्छा है वो प्लास्टिक के डब्बों में मंगाने से, get your steel dabba. They'll be happy to give you. They might even offer you some discounts. So and discount is not the reason I want you to go, although, but that can be a good token, right? And a good initiation of a conversation on this bit with the restaurant or whoever is offering you food. So have those things possible. You may have plates enough at your home. If you don't have plates, this is what we did when I was kid. I remember our family is doing this. कि हमारे घर पे मेहमान आ रहे, we don't have enough utensils. We will just go and ask our neighbors कि भाई दे देना आज मेहमान आ रहे हैं, and they will happily give it, because when they have guests we also give them. So that community feeling, it will be wonderful to experience that way. And by the way, now you also have renting cutlery and crockery options, so maybe you can look out for that as well. It's better to uh, if you can clean by yourselves, wonderful. If you can't, it's better to pay someone to clean instead of paying to create waste. Just understand the difference. uh, and then ultimately, I think decor and all, बहुत reusable decor options है. You have cloth buntings, you have whatnot. Just pull out your dupattas and saris and decorate something. Use your brains. No point to wasting behind those glittery plastic decors, which anyway need to be trashed after a single use. So I think, yeah, those are. And segregate and compost, of course. So that goes without saying that whatever, there will be waste created. Zero नहीं होगा. खाना अगर बन रहा है तो कुछ ना कुछ होगा ही. अगर आप कुछ खरीद रहे हो, कुछ ना कुछ होगा ही. We understand. We are not looking at some unimaginable result, but we are saying that at least be prepared that if you can compost that at home, if you can recycle the packaging of certain things that you have got. Of course, a certain portion may still end up in landfill, but at least you'll be able to save the majority. So yeah.
Before we move on to Ananya, I also request the audience to share their questions in the comment section or in the question section. So yeah, Ananya, we'll move on to you. What are the ideas that you have? We have a great curated list from Pooja. Would you like to add anything to that? You're on mute.
So I think Pooja covered most of the technicalities and logistics of holding an event. And as I mentioned before, it's something that's really important to when you're having a communal event to involve everyone, to incorporate everyone into the event, because that's something that I've practically never seen growing up in my generation. In an urban city, we rarely have events where people are actually involved within the creation of the event in the first place. The event is not so much about the itinerary or the place or the time. It's more about the people who come there, right? It's more about everyone coming together to do something or to just spend time together. And don't perceive. I think I would just say that don't perceive the event as something that you have to pre-plan. You have to put a lot of planning into. It's just something that you're just meeting someone. Maybe it's okay. It's for an occasion. Okay, it's for a festival. Okay, you'll have some rituals to complete, but otherwise it's just a meeting. And once you see it from that perspective, you'll realize that there's not much to buy, or there's not much to do in advance except for just obviously prepare how Bride does to regarding the waste, to ensure as minimal waste as possible. But if we just perceive it as a meeting, it'll be a lot better.
Great. That's great. Yeah, I think this is a great message for our audience. We'll take a couple of questions that have come in now. First question is in the comment from the comment section. How can we discourage bursting of firecrackers among kids and people who like celebrating with them? Anyone can take up this question.
I have seen parents encouraging kids to burst crackers. बच्चे डरते हैं जब वो छोटे होते हैं ना. Kids are scared of crackers because of the noise or because of the fire. But parents are like, उसका डर भगाना है. But I feel, what are we even doing? Like, right? The kid is already at a good place. You don't need to take them, into that space. So first, I think is parents need to stop. I strongly feel that parents actually a lot of times use the name of kids to burst crackers themselves. So that is something that parents can look at firstly. कि अगर आदत ही नहीं है, उसको exposure ही नहीं है, तो मत दो उसको exposure as parents. Secondly, I feel what is important is sensitization. As a kid, I had been this person who has burst a lot of crackers, a lot of crackers. But I remember someone trying to sensitize me once, think about the birds who just get scared like that. What if you were sleeping and someone just scared you with that loud noise? Or just imagine that there'll be chotu babies of those birds and other animals who will also be scared. And I just realized that the whole idea of compassion towards another being, another life, uh, changed my perspective towards the festival. So I think maybe sensitizing them is what can change, rather than just, I mean, yes, pollution is there, but अब वो इतना रिपीट हो चुका है कि लोग मोटी चमड़ी हो गए. मुझे ऐसा लग रहा है कि उनको फर्क ही नहीं पड़ता कि भाई देयर इज चाइल्ड लेबर. समझ नहीं पा रहे आपके बच्चों को. अगर इफ यू आर सेइंग दैट योर किड्स are so keen on bursting crackers, are you thinking about those kids who are literally in dangerous conditions and making firecrackers for you? Is that fair to give momentary happiness to some kids and give dangerous life conditions to others? Like, where is our conscience? So, yeah.
Ananya, do
And
you have
I
anything to
think
add
to
to this?
Yeah,
Good.
and I think why do kids burst firecrackers in the first place? Because they want something to do when the adults are doing serious talk, or when they are doing some complicated ritual that the kids don't really understand. And for them, firecrackers is something easy, something fun that they have been taught to love since they've been conditioned to associate with Diwali or associate with celebrations since their childhood. So we can really create a lot more meaningful, a lot other meaningful associations to the festival, for children to look back to, for us to look back to as grown-ups, when we don't want to look back onto our childhoods as or childhood celebrations as just that experience of bursting firecrackers, because I know that I have some guilt or some shame associated with the fact that I used to burst firecrackers, and I don't want that for any other child. I want children to associate festivals with something joyous, something that they truly, truly love. And we can actually develop, right now, we can actually develop new traditions, new cultures surrounding how children perceive festivals. We can create, for instance, rangolis can be created by any child, something that any child would be interested in. Suppose there's some children who are looking for something more physical, something more sporty, then we can actually have small we can have dance events, or we can have anything that's bringing in culture to play, because ultimately bursting firecrackers is play, considered play, right? And children just need that space to play, need that space to enjoy, and need that space to learn about these cultures in an easier way. It's firecrackers has got nothing to do with the culture, nothing to do with the rituals or traditions at all, but we can incorporate that in an easier fashion.
So I'm clubbing two questions from the comment section. One is about your personal experiences in convincing others to and whether you've been able to successfully convert any peers of yours. That's one question. And the second is about peer pressure. Peer pressure of either giving into firecrackers or fancy gifts. How do you get out of it? These are the two questions that we've got. And yeah, I mean, we'll take the other questions later. Ananya, do you want to take both these questions up?
All right. For me, I think this is an interesting question, because I never really spent celebrations with people outside of my immediate family, because it was our tradition to just spend that time within the family. We would really only really cook something for that occasion. Most offer like my one of my parents would offer puja for our um, our god at home. But apart from that, we would think major. Maybe we would, as a family, because it was a holiday, school holiday for me, or office holiday for my parents, we would, as a family, go out somewhere, or spend that time together. So I never really experienced that peer pressure to celebrate in a particular way, because I was just never in that social setting. But have had conversations with people about firecrackers, and people are usually a lot more willing to accept that there's something inherently wrong with firecrackers as a culture, because it's not something that is actually a tradition, or actually related to the festival as a whole. So people don't usually take offense, but some people are not willing to. Some people believe that it's not some people believe that it's not something that you should go out and tell other people. I have had an experience of trying to talk to someone about it, and that person said that it's. I mean, I would never tell a kid no. If some kid wants to do it, I would encourage them. I myself wouldn't do it, but I'll encourage other kids, which I don't really understand the funda of, but people believe in that.
Got it. But do you think that, much more waste will still be then generated this festival season simply because, we've had 2 years of low-key celebrations? So Prachi has asked this question. I just want to pose that to both of you.
लास्ट ईयर भी यही सोच के बहुत हुआ था इस साल और तो we just need bahanas I feel it's sad right that those I mean the pandemic hasn't been able to teach us that our consumerist ways are a problem. If we learned that, it would have been better. I'm not saying don't celebrate, of course celebrate, but in what way? Celebrations don't necessarily mean waste. So that finding out that balance is something a problem. But yeah, you're right. For, we are seeing mad sales. My couriers are stuck because people are busy buying so much from these online platforms, and the courier services are overloaded. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And to wind up, we'll wind up the live in a couple of minutes. How do you think the government can be encouraged to, you know, to organize or encourage people to have environmentally friendly festivals? We spoke about individual behavior. We spoke about the kind of changes that we as a society can bring. How do you think the government can come into the picture? Ananya, would you like to have a go
Before
at
I
this? Sorry, yeah, Pooja, you were saying something. Sorry,
No, I
go
just
ahead.
thought of that question. So I just felt before we go to the government question, Someone asked if I was able to, or if either of us were basically able to advocate and get some changes done, right? So I was just thinking, and I thought of I remembered of this instance. A college friend of mine, she had Ganpati at her place. This is not Diwali; it's another festival, but yeah, it's all celebration. But she had Ganpati at her place, and she just called me to ask where I can find idols which are, earth friendly. So I helped her a bit, and then after a few days, she sends me a lot of messages, a lot of images, pictures, which were about how she decorated her place, what she did with the idol, what she did with the flowers which were used, and it was beautiful. It has been years that I had not spoken to this girl. Okay, we were just connected through Instagram, और वहाँ भी हमने कुछ खासी बात नहीं करी थी. But she told me that I keep seeing your posts, and it just made me think that I could just pull my old saris and dupattas and I could decorate. And she just took one big cardboard box that she had to create the backdrop and covered it with the dupatta, and uh, composted all the flowers that came along. Or so the beauty, the part being, you may never be knowing the difference that you are making. You may actually not know. Someone I came across said ki, again, I had not spoken to this person for years, said, oh, I set up a juice store, and thinking of you, I've been trying to cut down all the waste. And I've been thinking, it breaks my heart to see all the peels go to waste, but I'm really trying hard. How do I minimize? The thought that you are seeding in someone's mind, don't stop talking about it, because of course if you are low on energy, you're, of course you can do that, but otherwise don't stop talking about it because someone is telling you to do that. Because if you believe in something, keep going. You never know how you're touching someone's life. You may know it someday, you may not know it someday, but there's some impact that you're making. So yeah, that bit. Ananya, please take up the government question.
Ananya, there's some disturbance from your end. Ananya, there's some disturbance from your end. We can't hear you. Uh, you might want to take the earphones off and then speak on microphone. Yeah. Ananya, your video is also breaking. I think there is some issue with the internet. Yeah, I don't think we can hear. Pooja, do you want to share your thoughts in the meantime?
Yeah, so the question that government encouraging eco-friendly festivals, I just feel like saying beware of greenwashing that can happen from government. Also very much. Corporates are not entitled for greenwashing only. It happens a lot from governments also. So yes, governments need to do that, but how? Ask not to buy unnecessarily, but they will not do that because our understanding of economies will stop them from doing it, right? So how they can do it? I feel first of all, if there can be some kind of a regulation on the sale season that comes up every now and then. Women's Day, for example, is something a day I feel only for marketing gimmicks. सबको औरतों की इम्पोर्टेंस उसी दिन अकेले याद आती है ना. और सबको अचानक सारे सारे women based products ये वो suddenly they come up, so much sale and all of that. What I'm trying to say is that if government can do something, I feel it has to be more of awareness and sensitization on uh, on not having too much is not I mean economic understandings on. And when I say economic understandings, understanding of it in sync with earth, in sync with the system that earth follows. It's not linear, it's circular. We need to understand all of that. We need to understand that I feel I don't even think now we can blame so much on capitalism, because I feel that there's no capital left. We are indebted to our future generations like so much. Uh, so we need to work more. I think that's where changing their own systems, their own definitions, and promoting that understanding. That is where it can government can help. Is what I think. It's a lot of work, but I think it needs to be done. I don't see any other way.
Ananya, is your audio better now? Can we, yeah, is it better now? Maybe you might. Hello? Yeah, we still can't hear you for some reason. No, it's still not audible. I think there is some issue with the earphones. You might want to speak on
Yeah.
your regular mic, phone's mic. No, yeah, that's fine. It's
Yash
fine. I
suggests
guess
if
there is some issue.
she wants to go and come back.
Yeah, it's okay. I think we'll try to wind up now, and we'll wind up the discussion now. So yeah, so thanks so much for joining, firstly, Pooja and Ananya. Okay, Ananya has some issues with the video now as well. I think it's just an internet lag. It's fine. So, I mean, the reason we had this discussion is not just to talk about Diwali, which is the upcoming festival, but to generally talk about the way we're celebrating events and why we need to be climate conscious about every day of our life. So this is the reason we had this event, and I thank you, Pooja and Ananya, both for giving us a list of things that we can practice individually and the kind of changes that you expect as a society from the government. We covered so many aspects today, so I thank you for that. And I encourage the audience to follow Fridays for Future Mumbai, to follow Student Climate Action Club, and to also follow Pooja on Slow and Conscious Living, and to also keep following Citizen Matters. We've done, Ananya and Pooja have contributed in various capacities to Citizen Matters, firstly on this event and as citizen journalists. So I encourage you to go to our website and to read their articles as well. And we hope that we continue to collaborate, and so we're doing something interesting. It's called Zero Waste Event with CM, based on the kind of suggestions that we had and other interesting ideas that our audiences might also have. I encourage you all to start talking about the kind of festival initiatives that you took, the kind of zero waste and minimalist ideas that you had while organizing events, and tag us using the hashtag Zero Waste Event with CM. And yeah, to keep following our work and follow Pooja and Ananya as well. Thanks so much for joining. And yeah, we look forward to having more such events. We do events every month of the year. And I wish you season's greetings for the coming events and festivals to come. And we hope that the events are sustainable, minimalistic, and eco friendly. So yeah, thanks so much for joining.
Thank you so much for having us,
Is this better?
Lalita. It was great.
Yes,
Yes,
we
can
can
hear
hear
you.
you. No, I guess that was just a momentary thing. It's fine. It's fine. Go ahead, Pooja.
No, I was just saying that thank you so much for having this conversation. I'm glad we had someone. I am glad we had Ananya, because I think she just brought another perspective, like, from the angle of today's youngsters, these teenage folks who are who I now realize that there's so much that I had in my childhood is not what she has in her childhood. I mean, right now. So I feel that connection uh, is something that is really helpful, and I hope the audience also got to understand some things better. So yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, all right. We'll wind up now. Looking forward to see you for the next event.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pooja. Thanks, Ananya. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.